Coming up on today's show, bantamweight champ Aljamain Sterling goes back to his roots with a visit to Jamaica.
UFC Jamaica, we're coming. We're coming.
Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez shares his journey from the prison system to the bright lights of the Octagon.
Someone hear my story and decides to walk into the gym, they could be like, well, if he did it, I could do it.
National champion wrestler Bo Nickal names the best American grapplers in UFC history.
Obviously, he's a very physical specimen. Having that combination of size, strength, athleticism, and knowing how to wrestle, definitely dangerous.
And Andre Petroski takes us through his Octagon debut in day one.
I connected on the hook really well. I knew that I had rocked him.
Aljamain Sterling recently visited Jamaica in a historical homecoming as the first ever Jamaican-American UFC champion. Joined by teammates Iaquinta and bantamweight contender Merab Dvalishvili, the Funk Master led the group as they explored the local MMA scene, then met up with his Caribbean relatives. We look inside his island excursion in this edition of Ultimate Access.
First Jamaican UFC champion. I'm going to Jamaica because I want to give back to the country, and it's cool for me to go down there and just show a little bit of inspiration to the locals. The goals of this trip for me was to indulge with the culture of the Jamaican people, live more like the local. I haven't done that since I was maybe in my early teens, and to help grow the sport of MMA, as well as work with some charity groups.
So one of the things that a lot of people don't know about me is that I was a physical education teacher. I worked with a lot of kids from elementary school all the way through their 12th grade year.
Welcome to Jamaica National Children's Home. It was founded in 1972.
To see people here that are working with kids, it means a lot to me because I know how much it takes and the type of patience that you have to have. They are the ones that shape the futures of tomorrow with our students.
So my mission with the charity group is giving back and understanding some of the struggles that they are dealing with. It's a very different situation that they're in terms of funding, resources for food, cleaning supplies.
I'll take this one.
We had bags of rice, mackerel, saltfish, cleaning supplies.
Looks heavy.
We were just trying to evaluate what they have and see how we can alleviate some of that stress.
Then we have 20 children that attend this school.
20, okay.
20 out of the 34 that we have.
And this unit is?
Where our children live.
That's where they live, okay.
We have Mr. Aljamain Sterling. Say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody.
It's very important for me to participate in things like this because I grew up not having a lot.
So, Mr. Sterling, we are happy to have you donate to our facility at this time.
What's up, what's up?
Your donations, they go a far way assisting with our needs. We really appreciate it.
Get some of my big diesel men. So when I mentioned to the guys that we were going to go to Jamaica, what the mission was and some of the charities and the seminars that we would do, they said 100% definitely they want to come along to experience a new country, a different way of life. And I'm thankful for these guys coming with me and they're sharing a part with me in doing things like this.
Thank you all. Let's hear it for the champ right here.
Bye, Bye guys.
It's eye-opening for me. It's definitely something that I'm gonna try to do. You can tell these kids here they need some help, but they're smiling all the time. They're all just happy to see outside people.
Oh, just wide left.
Thanks for having us. Thank you, Mr. Sterling, for coming. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Hand up there, it's party time, scene. We're not ramping up here, where we sit. Well then, check here, you know.
We're just right here now.
Yeah, but you don't want me right here.
We're heading to Sugar Boxing Gym right now. We're gonna do a little seminar, and then I'll show like some entries, some clinch work, some kicking. These guys don't necessarily have MMA teachers, but they're interested and curious in the sport.
Oh, you look like a boxer.
We pull up, and Merab's talking to this kid who we then learn his name is, they call him Hercules.
Look at that feet.
To see a kid at his age moving the way he was moving, I'm like, okay, we got a little something here. My sparring session with Lil Hercules, it got intense really quick. He was throwing some serious heat, so I had to make sure I was keeping the guard up, showing him some good defense. I think we got a superstar on our hands.
My turn. This is the future right here.
This is Breezy.
Sterling. Nice to meet you.
Our pro boxer.
They're primarily boxers at these gyms.
They're going after it. They're going for it.
You got to learn the fundamentals and the basics. This is an opportunity to introduce them to MMA.
Work up into this position on the neck. We got inside attacks here. We got foot sweeps.
The opportunity and the potential is limitless down there in Jamaica. You think this is something? Go down to Jamaica, you'll see hundreds of me walking around. I can start to throw my punches in this position. Gotta polish these boys up and these girls. And there's gonna be some dangerous people over here. UFC Jamaica, we're coming. We're coming. I hope they keep that in mind, that anything can happen as long as they put the work in. If I could do it, you could do it too. Throughout this trip, we did a whole bunch of different activities. We got to hang out on the beach. We attempted to surf. The waves were kind of flat. We went horseback riding. Merab, he rides horses all the time, so he gets on, of course, and he's hitting this thing. Yeah! We jumped off the cliffs over at the Blue Lagoons. I don't like heights, but I jumped off the cliff a couple of times. It wasn't pretty.
The mountain trail is over here.
We went hiking, all the greenery that we were able to see. The air was super clean, super pure, breath of life. We jumped in like a waterfall that was at the top of the trail. Merab, of course, can't help himself. He has to climb, because if he doesn't climb, it didn't happen. I do believe in like bonding with nature, because at the end of the day, we all go back to the earth.
Yeah.
We're waiting for my cousins. This was a part of the trip that I wanted to show the world. I actually never met this side of the family. What's up, what's up? How's it?
Fine, man.
Good, good. And I just found out one of them is actually like the mayor of Brownstown.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
We go over there, we show the belt, we take some pictures. We meet I guess one of my great aunties kind of thing, something like that.
His grandmother is my sister.
Aljo, this is the first time that you see her?
Yes, actually, I think so, right? I think so. Yeah, first time, yeah. And they have like this plaza, but they own a Jamaican restaurant over there as well.
Oh, that's good, man. Are you family too?
Yeah, man. Cousins.
I got an opportunity to make some authentic jerk chicken. I can't even tell you. I just know it's good as hell. We cooked that and we jerked it up. You hold this side, you hold this side. It's heavy. Come here and reconnecting with family that I haven't seen or met.
Respect, cause.
That just shows a lot about the people here and obviously family and how they treat and house everybody. Hospitality goes a long way. This trip to Jamaica was a huge success. From the charities, being a UFC champion, been giving a lot more opportunities and a lot more access to help.
Fingers do the work, my legs and my body weight.
The seminars. To the activities. Jamaica is a very beautiful island. I think there's so much good things for people to experience and such great energy from the people.
I am grandma with my grandson.
I would eat a whole box of these, man.
Right.
A whole box of these to myself. I don't think I had more fun on any other trip, to be honest.
God bless Jamaica.
Thank you to everyone who made this trip a huge success. Thank you for showing us around. Thank you for the hospitality. I think it was just an overall great experience that myself and my teammates are never gonna forget. Jamaica, I will be back.
Welterweight standout Daniel Rodriguez grew up surrounded by gang culture, which led to the first of many run-ins with the law at the age of 15. After years of living this chaotic existence, Rodriguez turned to MMA in his early 20s in an effort to escape the streets. Now as an elite athlete in the UFC, D-Rod focuses his attention on passing his knowledge as a mentor to others who might be in danger of heading down a similar path. We find out more about this incredible journey in Fighter Focus.
Well, since 2020, when Daniel Rodriguez entered the UFC, he was put immediately on the map. This is a tough out at 170 pounds.
The guy is a really good striker. He's a really good grappler. And most of all, he's the Los Angeles dog that enjoys to fight.
Oh! One of the more underrated welterweights on this UFC roster. This is a man who came from nothing.
He's a fighter. He was had trouble with the law. He was in prison. This is allowing him to turn his life around.
All systems go right now. D-Rod's on fire.
I would have never thought my life would be like this. If I didn't have MMA right now, I'd probably be still in and out of jail. Lucky I found MMA.
Rodriguez!
I grew up in Los Angeles, born and raised. But yeah, I lived in the hood most of my life. Living in a 2-bedroom apartment with all of us. And my dad wasn't there. I kind of like played the dad role a little bit, you know? I helped my mom with my younger brothers and sisters while she was at work. I would get like pushed aside. I needed attention, that's why I used to get into so much trouble. Yeah, I knew that both my mom and dad were gang affiliated. Everyone on my dad's side is all tattooed up, all gang banging. And for me, growing up, it was normal. The dudes that I looked up to, you know, were all gang members. This is what I was brought into. That's all I knew. First time I went to jail, I was 15. I've been in and out the LA County Jail 20 times. The only positive thing I could take from going to jail is that it programmed me to want to be stronger so I could defend myself, get myself prepared to fight. In jail, you take away everything. The only thing you can really work on is your mental. It got to a point where it was like so bad. Me and my mom together were selling drugs and I realized I needed to make a change when my mom went to prison for getting caught in a car that I stole. And I felt like a lot of guilt and kind of changed everybody's life forever. I always had a vision for a better future. It's just I hadn't found what could get me there. I had got out of jail this one time. I remember this one day, my cousin hit me up. He's like, "Hey, what's up, cuz? Come watch these fights." So I'm thinking we're gonna watch boxing. I'm like, "All right, cool." He's like, "Yeah, it's this fool named Rampage is fighting."
Rampage Jackson.
Johnny Cage's down. Rampage on top. Oh, big right hand. Good left hand. Silva is out. It is all. Wow.
So we're watching the fights, and I remember like just right away, just like, oh, I was so interested in it because there's so much to it. I was just a fan. I was like a hardcore UFC fan. Right when I walked in and sparred for the first time, the coaches were like, "Oh, like you never trained before?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm watching all these fights. I'm like, I could do this.
Rodriguez bashing away, looking to set up an armbar, steps over. Straighten him out, belly down, and it's over.
Fighting definitely did help me keep me off the streets. It changed my whole life.
Daniel Rodriguez! D-Rod, as he likes to be called, coming into this night with an 8-1 record. Just a fun brawler to watch.
When I got the call to be on Dana White's Contender Series, that fight was so important to me because everything leading up to that point was like, this is it. You know, this is your shot at the UFC.
Oh! Saved by the horn.
I wanted to fight, but didn't get signed, and it was a little bit discouraging, but I never let anything get in my way.
And here is Daniel Rodriguez. If he looks familiar, it's because the real fight fans will know he was on the Dana White's Contender Series and ultimately has been waiting for the call for a very long time. Tonight, this 33-year-old gets it with his UFC debut.
He is making his debut, but he feels as though a lifetime of fighting has prepared him for this moment. Rodriguez has fantastic boxing, and he throws everything in combination. He's throwing it in rhythm.
Big left hand, and another one, and a third one.
Oh, he hurt him bad.
Means is covering up along the fence and trying to grab a leg.
Oh, he's got the guillotine.
Rodriguez trying to choke him out standing up.
Oh, it's so
Means
tight.
taps. Daniel Rodriguez, as a huge underdog in his UFC debut, gets the job done.
I think that the biggest impact that jail has played on my mental game is being calm in crazy situations.
Whoa, there we go.
When I fight, like you hear announcers say like, oh, he's so calm.
Rodriguez is calm. He's taking it all in his stride. He's reading the situation.
To me, it's like I'm comfortable.
Oh, and an uppercut.
I'm comfortable in chaos, you could say.
Rodriguez is so relaxed in there, man. That jab is nasty.
Oh, it drops Dwight. He's got him hurt now.
Oh, down
it hurts
goes
him again.
Dwight Grant.
Oh. And what a fight.
Daniel!
Being in the UFC gives me a different like purpose, because now like my kids like look up to me so much. When I was younger, I didn't have like a dad or anything, so I think I just want to like, you know, give back in some kind of way. Chuco is my little homie. I met him when he was 15. I see a lot of like myself in him. Every day I'll make sure I pick him up, and then we'll go do what we gotta do.
D-Rod, I seen him in the gym. We started training together at the yard. He came up to me and then he just like kind of took me under his wing, I would say, you know? I was getting into a lot of trouble. Could kind of see that we walked a similar path, and he started picking me up to train, and then just kind of like sparked that fire in me to get back in there. I've always knew with my talent I could go far with this, but training with him is just like, if you're trying to go pro, why would not go train with the pros who try to go to the highest level?
If I could change like one dude's life, somehow, some way, it'd make me feel like so much pride. So that's why like I'm trying to help this fool out, and I just want him to be successful. Ultimately, like my story, I hope would inspire somebody, because I know there's like a ton of dudes like me that like made the wrong decisions when they were younger. I come from the hood. I was a project baby, and I didn't walk into the gym till I was 25. I'm kind of like the perfect example of it's not too late. Someone can hear my story and decides to walk into the gym, they could be like, well, if he did it, I could do it.
Collegiate sensation Bo Nickal is the latest in a long line of elite athletes with a decorated history in traditional American wrestling who successfully transitioned to MMA. The Penn State standout was introduced to UFC fans via the Contender Series, but it's his impressive debut at UFC 285 that confirmed his status as a bright prospect in the middleweight division. We sat down with Bo and found out who made his list of American wrestlers who found success at MMA's highest level in the UFC.
And here is Bo Nickal.
One of the most highly touted prospects to hit the sport in years.
As decorated a collegiate wrestler as we've ever seen.
Wrestling fundamentals are an incredibly important tool to have when going into MMA, because if your wrestling fundamentals are better than your opponents, you decide where the fight happens.
He's not just taking people down and lying on them. He's not just cracking them with the right hand. He is taking people out of there, and he's doing it in style.
I think that we see so many great American wrestlers transition to MMA because of how strong American wrestling is. There's such a strong tradition of Americans competing well in the World Championships and the Olympics. And then in addition to that, kids are brought up with youth wrestling, high school, collegiate. It really prepares you for that next level of competition in what the UFC is, you know? And being able to have all those competition reps from a young age, I really feel that there's no way to discredit the value in that. I'm Bo Nickal, and these are my top 5 greatest American wrestlers in UFC history. Coming in at number 5, Daniel Cormier.
Two-time United States Olympic wrestler, UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, truly an elite athlete here, Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier's fighting style was different and unique because he really mixed up the boxing and the wrestling really well.
It's the hands and the striking of Daniel Cormier that separates him from a lot of other wrestlers.
Oh, my goodness, wow. Indeed. Look at that.
When I think of DC's wrestling, I automatically think of his fight with Alexander Gustafsson and him just picking him up above his head and totally flipping him, slamming him.
That's Daniel Cormier, ladies and gentlemen.
He was pretty famous for those, but the one versus Gustafsson really stands out to me.
That's some high-level wrestling.
Every time I saw DC fight, I expected to see a dog.
The technique, the athleticism, the conditioning, the power, everything. He's a beast.
He had great cardio. He was able to go 5 rounds.
They're gonna go the distance!
And at the same time, he had a lot of power and was able to finish fights.
Oh! Cormier knocks me down!
Definitely a fierce competitor. Coming in at number 4, Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar, an All-American, a 2-time Big Ten champion, a national champion.
You know, I think Brock was considered such a great wrestler in MMA because his power and his ability to just absolutely pummel guys.
Brock Lesnar is the undisputed heavyweight champion!
To see that guy coming at you, not only trying to land punches, but trying to take you down and beat you up on the ground had to have been pretty terrifying.
Wow! Brock Lesnar has done it!
Having that combination of size, strength, athleticism, and knowing how to wrestle, definitely dangerous.
2 great wrestlers, and there is a ton of respect.
Him winning the UFC title against Randy Couture, you know, just put on an absolutely awesome performance against a fellow wrestler, unfortunately, but there can only be one. So, you know, when I think of his career, I really think that moment of him becoming UFC champion was just so huge.
Brock Lesnar!
And my number 3 pick is Mark Schultz. Had to go a little old school with this one. Mark Schultz's wrestling accolades really speak for themselves. 3-time NCAA champion, 2-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist. It really doesn't get better than that. When you look at the way he competes, not only in wrestling but in MMA as well, there's just so much ferocity. Obviously, he was a very physical specimen, but I think more than that, his mentality was second to none. I heard a Mark Schultz quote once, "There's no man on earth that can hurt me."
Look at Mark Schultz!
I love that mentality. He absolutely emulated that quote in his fights. Coming in at number 2, Sarah McMahon. I chose Sarah McMahon to be on my list because earning a silver medal in the Olympics is such an amazing accomplishment, and I feel like she was one of the first female wrestlers to kind of bring that in.
How good was that?
Every single time she competed, she had a positive attitude and she gave her 100% best.
McMahon working hard for this takedown, she gets it.
That's all you can really ask of yourself, and so that's something I really appreciate. My favorite Sarah McMahon moment had to be her UFC debut.
Oh, man.
You know, winning in a knockout, such an awesome accomplishment, and just a really cool thing to see somebody come from the same background as me, you know, wrestling, and reach the highest level of the sport in the UFC and being able to make her debut with a knockout. Very cool moment. And coming in at my number 1, it's Henry Cejudo.
The youngest American ever to earn a gold medal in the Olympics in freestyle wrestling.
Henry Cejudo, former national champion, Pan Am wrestling champion. I mean, he's a spectacular wrestler.
There's a lot of reasons for Henry to make my list. The youngest ever American to win an Olympic gold medal in wrestling, such a cool thing. And so being able to accomplish that, I feel like earns him the number 1 spot.
Cejudo looking for the takedown.
And
wow.
there it is.
He's just incredibly talented, athletic, and one of the highest fight IQs, I believe, out of anybody.
Crew's in a world of trouble here.
I look at what he's been able to do in fighting, and I really admire it with the amount of guys that he's beaten and the names. You know, it's pretty crazy. And not only to beat the guys he's beaten, but to do it across 2 divisions.
That is really impressive stuff.
I have a few moments that I think of that really showcased his wrestling. His second fight with Demetrius Johnson, being able to take, at the time, the pound-for-pound #1 guy, take him down and win a really close decision. Such an awesome thing, and definitely huge for the sport of wrestling. Other moments, I think of his fight with Marlon Moraes. He didn't necessarily showcase his wrestling through takedowns, but I think he showcased his heart, his grit, his toughness, losing a first round and kind of getting pieced up a little bit, and then just turning it on, putting the pressure on the guy, and being able to turn that fight around, get the finish, and become the 135-pound champ as well.
That's it.
Get him a second belt! Henry Cejudo is the UFC bantamweight champion!
2-division UFC champ, Olympic gold medalist. That's a Triple C. I'm Bo Nickal. Thanks for taking 5.
Bo Nickal!
The Ultimate Fighter viewers got their first look at Philadelphia's Andre Petroski when he was chosen as Team Ortega's first pick in season 29. His skills scored him a late notice call to the big show in August of 2021. Since then, Petroski has been laser focused, and his unbeaten run in the stacked middleweight division has him pegged as a future contender. Andre takes us back to where it all began as we revisit his Las Vegas Octagon debut in day 1.
I was on season 29 of The Ultimate Fighter, Ortega versus Volkanovski. I was the first pick for Team Ortega.
We'll take Andre.
It gave me confidence that the coaches believed in me and they saw something special. My first fight was against Aaron Phillips. I finished him in the first round. And then my second fight was against Brian Battle.
Hey, that was no respect, bro. Nothing but respect.
He went on to win the tournament. The ultimate goal has always been to fight in the UFC and fight on the biggest platform in the world. So in my mind, I always knew that I would get there at some point. It was just a matter of when. At the time, I started looking for other regional fights, and I was in the grocery store and I get a phone call and he's like, Andre, it's Mick Maynard. I'm like, what? He's like, can you make weight in 10 days? When I heard my opponent was Gilmore, I was confident because I knew how I had matched up against him in the practice room. Michael Gilmore was actually a teammate of mine. He actually was my training partner for the entire Brian Battle fight. And honestly, I wasn't upset at all. You know, I knew that for him, that still gave him an opportunity to get into the UFC, and so I was happy about it. When I arrived at the arena the night of the fight, I had already had 2 fights in the Apex from being on the Ultimate Fighter, so I was really just all around like very comfortable, very relaxed, and confident going in.
He was the first pick among the middleweights on this past season of The Ultimate Fighter, Andre Petroski out of Philadelphia, PA.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it just felt like just another night. It felt like an extension of The Ultimate Fighter.
On the other side is Michael Gilmore. He was an alternate for the season, stuck around in Las Vegas.
Fight!
Look at that straight away. Petroski comes out fast, right across the center of the octagon.
I knew he wanted to keep the fight standing. You know, he's a striker. The first round, I threw a cross and a hook.
Oh, big right from Petroski.
I connected on the hook really well. I knew that I had rocked him, but at the time I shot right in for my takedown.
Big slam.
Something changed there. That was a beautiful right hook, straight into the double leg.
I knew that that was a big momentum shift in my direction. I had a clear advantage on the ground.
He's got to be careful as he stands because he's going to give up the ball. But he's up. Nice. Slowly done, but it's straight back down.
I knew that I had won the first round. I was starting to settle into the fight. He was, throwing a lot of inside leg kicks.
And there's the leg kicks from Gilmore. That's something I expected to see out of him in this fight.
Slowly but surely, Gilmore's chipping away in the legs, working the body.
2 takedowns in the first frame for Petroski and nearly 4 minutes of ground control time. And now goes in for the takedown. Look out for the guillotine.
No, nice timing there for Andre to end this round.
Yeah, he needed that
move.
Finishing that round with the takedown and the ground and pound, I was confident that I had secured that second round.
3rd round coming.
John Marquez said to me, yo, it's 1-1.
Last round. Last round. 1-1. 1-1. You need to win this. 1-1.
We have to go.
Let's go.
It kind of lit a fire under my ass because I was like, nah, I'm up 2-0. And then he was like 1-1. I was like, all right, I guess we're going out in this 3rd round as if it's 1-1.
Ready. Let's fight.
3rd and final here. Michael Gilmore with a big 2nd round to make things very interesting with 5 minutes or less to go.
This is a fantastic start for Andre in round 3.
That takedown really took his will. I passed his guard pretty easy, and then once I got the gift wrap, it was really just about finishing the fight, showing that he wasn't fighting back, and just doing that damage.
That's gonna do it. Andre Petroski, 3rd round TKO, welcomes himself to the UFC with a big performance.
I was happy to know that on 10 days' notice, that I can step up and handle business. It meant a lot to win my first UFC fight, to be in the UFC, and to start my career off with a finish.
That's all for this episode. We'll see you next time right here on UFC Connected. Thanks for watching.